All right, so I tried on my blouse and dress and they fit really well, so I didn't have to do any adjustments. But if you do, that's where I come in and I'll help you make it tighter or looser. So now we're ready to interface the facing with our fusible web. And basically all you need to do is lay all your facing pieces out on a single layer of the interfacing. It's kind of a mess. I'll move it over here. You can unroll it a bit and open it out, and then just lay your pieces wrong side on the bumpies. So you got to feel it, feel where those bumpy marks are, which means it's the glue, and that way it will glue onto the wrong side of your fabric. So line them up. It shouldn't have any folds or wrinkles. It's a little tedious because these pieces are small, but try to be efficient with the web, and it's not a big deal if you miss a spot and then just add a piece when you're doing it. So then you're going to get this placed, make sure it's the right shape, it is completely flat, pin it on, cut it out, and then iron it for about 10 to 15 seconds so that it is completely interfaced, which gives it more structure and strength. So we always do this with facing pieces. Okay? And I have two things that I'm making, so I'm going to do a lot of these. It is important, I wanted to point out, if you don't have fabric with a pattern on it, you want to make sure you're mirroring your interface or your facing pieces. So I know that this is like a right side and a left side because of the shape, and that way I'm not interfacing the wrong sides. So just something to keep in mind if you don't have a pattern. So now I'm ready to interface. Again, make sure that the bumpy side is down on the wrong side of your fabric. And then it's really important just to use the pressing cloth. If you're doing it this way, you can see that there's little edges that are sticking out past my fabric. That is glue. So if I'm gonna do it this way, I wanna protect my iron this way. And then if I, for some reason, did it the other way, you could just have the cloth underneath. Another better option is probably to trim your interfacing back a bit, but I'm giving you options. So we're just going to press down for about 15 seconds on every part until it begins to adhere, and it might try to move on you, so just try to hold it down that entire time. Be patient until it's really sticking. Okay, so all of my facing pieces have been interfaced, so now it's time to sew them together. So essentially we want to make a big necklace for your shirt, and we want to put the right sides together. So if you can see, this is the front. I know it's the front because it's one big piece and it replicates the front of my shirt. This is the front here in pink because I have a V-neck over here as well. But I'm not sure where these go. And so they're a little trickier because they look kind of funky. So what you want to do is just lay them on top of your shirt and see which way seems to make the most sense, and really replicate it. So it looks to me like it goes this way. Keep in mind your facing piece should stick out a little bit here at the keyhole and then a little bit here at the shoulder seam, and that's because we're going to sew them. On this one, it's a funny shape too, and I can just follow the point, and it looks to me like, let's see, and to play around with it, it's like this. Let's see if it goes better the other direction. Yeah, actually this way seems to make more sense. So then you have to place them together. So if I know that these go here, then that means this is going to connect here. However, we always sew things backwards, so I need to make sure my right sides are together. So again, I will bring these down. These go like this, so you can kind of see this is here. I need these sides here and here to attach. So I can just do, no, that would be upside down. Hold on. I can just do this. There we go. And this. A little confusing, but we're not going to sew it yet. Trust me, we're going to test our theory. So we want to make sure you've completely made a perimeter of your shirt. So then another step will be to line this shape, this long shape, up on the top of your shirt and make sure that it's lining up. Now, we made a custom facing, so it might take a bit of trial and error with this seam allowance here. You're gonna start by sewing it at 5/8 inch, but if it seems like it's not lining up, we might have to sew it a bit deeper until it is the exact same shape and it follows the perimeter. So same thing over here. Here's my top. Here's the side that I need to sew onto here. So I have to think backwards. This goes like this and this goes like this. And again, we'll test our theory by pinning it. Normally I pin the other way, but this way we can kind of unfold it a little bit better. Make sure my edges are even. And does this shape up here replicate the front of my, the perimeter, the top of my shirt? So if the answer is no, then we have to go back to the drawing board. But if it is the correct shape, which this one seems to be correct, then I'm ready to sew them together. So after you've checked, you're going to sew here and here at 5/8 inch. And it's okay if it sticks out a bit. That's just from us kind of making our own. So let's go sew it. So I have my facing in position. I'm going to sew the ends together so that I'm making this giant circle and back stitching and doing this at 5/8 inch. And then you repeat on the other side. And on this one, same thing, 5/8 inch. So now I'm finished with sewing my facing. Next step, I'm going to press my seam allowances open and we're going to place this on. So now we're just going to test it to make sure it's lining up perfectly. To do that, you want to see that your seams, for this one, the shoulder seams, are lined up like so, and that the edge of your shirt is lined up as well. And I mentioned earlier, if that's not the case, then that means you might need to adjust your stitching to make sure it's completely flush. And then it should follow your edge of your shirt and stick out past the end of that keyhole back. Okay, so if that is the case, then you're ready to serge this entire piece to make it. So in serging your facing, it can get a little crazy because it is a funky shape. So it is completely fine with me if you lock this blade. So you turn it to lock and it's going to lower the blade so you don't have to worry about anything being chopped off. And then we're just gonna serge the same way we always do, being really mindful of how we do with our corners. So we don't want to lose the shape. So we're going to make sure that your, I'm going to go ahead and turn the blade back on. I don't mind it. You're going to make sure, but we're not cutting anything, okay? That on those corners, you are really pivoting and now I'm lowering the blade. you're really pivoting and you're not taking away or messing up the shape of your facing. So it's a little dicey. Here I come to a corner. I'm gonna surge a few stitches outward. Then I lift my foot and I turn and kind of reposition. And so take your time on this and do not cut through your facing.